Welcome, Bleach Heads. First, I have to say thank you for watching my death battle video. It's doing well despite the copyright claim. Thanks, Rooster Teeth. So, I want my non-reaction content to get the same love, but hey, I get it. I don't have a big following and the quality needs to get better, so not complaining. I appreciate those who are here now though, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. Today's criteria for this version of the ranking is a bit different, so just let's get into it. Criteria number 1. Each set of abilities will be judged on its own merit and not the person who owns it, or else this would just be an Espada ranking video. 2. I will be judging the combat merit in 1v1, 1 versus team, team versus team, and head-to-head scenarios. I will be giving a score for each, a 1 through 5, but I may not speak on them unless I feel it is important. Win conditions like before are more valuable than draws, and head-to-head carries the most weight. Each set of abilities is judged as if each Espada had everything equalized from speed, power, hero, etc. and stripped of personality to see how useful the ability itself is. So for example, if Noritra were to fight Grimmjow, his thick hero isn't considered, nor would something like Batagon's arrogance be a factor for him. I'm leaving the Espada as the combatants in this scenario as to not limit the abilities. A perfect example would be Zamari's Amor ability. In his Resurrection, he has 50 plus eyes, and I want to give him that ability so I'm not stripping him or making it weaker than it is. Since the combatants are hollows, it makes for a unique situation that I will mention later. So for the Unranked, this group is not being ranked simply because they have no special abilities to speak of. Nonoitra Gilga doesn't have any abilities, and no, I'm not counting each Espada's special physical attributes. It doesn't count as their unique power. I don't think it needed to be said, but just leaving it here for clarification. Now, if Noritra has an ability, I would say it's making extra weapons in his Resurrection form, but that isn't a true ability since other hollows can do the same thing. Batagon and Hollybell does it later, and Stark and Ukiura can create energy weapons, but Stark's is kind of different, and I'll get into that later. Nonoitra's arm regeneration is also a regular hollow ability, so he has nothing aside from just being extremely insecure. Both Ukiura and Grimmjow also do not exhibit any special abilities. Ukiura's Lanza del Relampago ability is no different from any other energy attack or weapon. Having a second resurrection or special spiritual pressure also does not count. Just like Nonoitra's special hero, Ukiura's special healing doesn't count either. Grimmjow is also strictly a physical fighter just like the rest of them. Even his special black claws he has in his resurrection form and later in his base are not special because White and Vassalordi Ichigo both have it as well. So this group will remain unranked for obvious reasons, so let's move on to our 7 rankings. Since most of these abilities aren't really given names like the Sternritter were, I will be using the Resurrection name to represent those who do not have one. I must also note that some of these abilities were shown to be used without even going into Resurrection, so just keep that in mind. 3 abilities do have names, so I'll be using those names proper. Sliding in at number 7 and last place, we have Litanaria, which is the ability to absorb powers through devouring. This ability is all hype and no substance. What's the point of possibly having over 30,000 plus abilities if you're only going to use 2? I will grant the abilities shown in the manga because the Espada are fighting in this scenario, and they're more intrinsically tied to their abilities, literally physically, than the Sternritter were, so he gets to keep those. So he gets to have Metastasia and Cayenne's abilities. In a head-to-head, Onaniro's abilities really has nothing for any of the other people on this list. I mean, Hollybell's Tiburon is a far better water ability than using Cayenne's Nejibana, nor does having Metastasia's abilities give him a decisive victory over everyone else. I can't judge it on the abilities that I haven't seen. Plus, eating dead hollows does nothing for you mid-battle, and as you see with our later pick, it can actually be a detriment. Coming in at number 6, we have Yami's Ira. Now, this one's unique because it's a power storage ability and it can increase its ability through rage empowerment. But the power storage ability doesn't really help here in these scenarios. Ira is a much better version of the overkill. It only needs anger to grow in power as opposed to killing. Also, we are given a perfect example of how strong these boosts are. After an angry outburst, Ira gave Yami a large enough boost to fight evenly with the tag team of Byakuya and Kenpachi, who were previously giving him a serious problem. However, it offers no benefits to teammates and has no advantage over the next entry. therefore it can't go any higher. Slumping its way into number 5, we have Fornicarus. Fittingly enough, Fornicarus has 5 abilities at the number 5 spot. It has Gabriel, Possession, Telon Balon, Carbon Copy, and Teatro de Titir. Pretty sure I just murdered that last one. Fornicarus has a litany of abilities. Gabriel allows the user to be reborn after impregnation of a host while killing the host upon birth, so I would actually say Litanaria wouldn't be ideal here. The user can also possess a being if eaten, meaning again, Litanaria wouldn't be a wise choice. Hollows like to eat other hollows to gain power, so eating this body after you win will actually cause you to lose in the end. The most dangerous ability I think it has isn't the popular voodoo organ destruction dolls. The organ destruction ability requires the user to catch and hold the victim so a doll can be made, which isn't easy mid-battle. However, if you use the carbon copy ability, then you can create an army from your opponent, which is hard to defeat by itself, and it then opens them up to be caught and made a doll of anyway. This set of abilities I think really allows it to have no difficulty with the abilities below it. It can even take hard hits with Telon Balon because it inflates itself to create a defensive shield. It can also, it's kind of similar to El Embrion's ability that you see from Zamari. However, Fornicarus has 0 counters to Amor, and I believe the overwhelming water attacks wouldn't allow the sludge to hit the user of Tiburon, thus nullifying Fornicarus' best chance at winning. Splashing into number 4, we have Tiburon, or Water Manipulation. Hollybell's Tiburon, or Water Manipulation, is a pretty nice ability. It offers good offense, defense, and supplemental abilities that can just give it a real nice variety. It can protect teammates and gives you enough variety and stopping power to work against groups. It makes up for not having 4s and 5s like the abilities later do by being versatile instead of a one-trick pony like we've seen with Ida. But its defensive capabilities do lack a bit of bulk, less than I would like. I do think it would be very effective against Amor, however. It would be capable of blocking the eye abilities with a wall of water, or even blinding the user. And it could stop Fornicarus, which is right behind it. Fornicarus' most dangerous ability is the carbon copy, and the water could nullify the sludge, thus not allowing the copies to be made, which wouldn't allow for the other ability, Teatro, to set up. This leads to the water's advantage, and unfortunately it can't beat Amor often enough, and that's why I can't put it higher than what we see here at number 3. We have Amor and El Embrion. These abilities come from Zamari. I weighed head to head far more than I do other categories, but I can't ignore how much of a blatant advantage it is to have Amor. It outperforms the water abilities of Tiburon in every category and by a large margin in the 1 versus team and team versus team categories. However, I do think that Tiburon can wall the Amor ability with water shields and has a way to obscure vision whilst also damaging eyes. However, it might not always work, and it doesn't have a counter if only a portion of the body is caught. It also doesn't help that Amor is only one of 2 abilities with a possible one-hit kill scenario. Amor just barely slides in at 3. Pulling far away from the rest of the group is the top 2 abilities the Espada have. Number 2, we have Stark's Camaraderie and Colmillo. Now, these abilities are just ruthless. Being able to rend one's soul apart and then infuse that into new beings or abilities to make them more deadly seemingly seems dumb, but it's actually pretty extreme seeing as the boost that these abilities get. The Espada can use the Cerro Oscurus, which increases the attack potency of their Cerro by 10 times. Stark opted to use Camaraderie, which is the wolf creation ability. This name was actually given in the Bleach Soul Resurrection game, so I'm just using it from that. That he decided to use those wolves as opposed to using the Cerro Oscurus, which means that they are either just as powerful or more powerful than that ability. What also makes Stark dangerous is his Colmillo ability. He can shape his energy into weapons, and the data books also state that he can shape them into more than just swords. I think this is how he makes his guns, and if that is true, then number 2 actually should be number 1. I think that with Stark's abilities, he could completely overwhelm what's at number 1. Here at number 1, we have Respira, or Senescence. Now, I cannot stress how broken this ability is. The ability to age anything you touch. really at seemingly different rates, is scary. Bardagon also has access to this ability in his base without having to go into his resurrection, and he even can control the actual time and space around his body. He's able to slow down attacks or speed them up. Even in his release form, the Respira just has like this area of effect. He touches things and they rot instantly. Things come into his personal space. He actually rots rocks instantaneously when they come too close to his body. This ability is broken. It can be used to help teammates, but although he has to be very careful because he could end up killing his own teammates because the ability is irreversible. I almost put Stark's abilities higher than it for that simple reason, because Stark has 5s in all categories, because the wolves are actually better for team versus team combat as opposed to Respira. But just in an even match, Respira is dangerous to anyone, and the ability to overwhelm it kind of does come from the ability to be stronger, which I'm not granting. So Respira comfortably comes in, maybe not comfortably, but honestly, I really struggle with these two. They could either go 1 or 2. I was trying not to be a Stark fanboy, but clearly at number 1 we have Respira. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe, and drop your 2 cents down in the piggy bank below. Till I see you again, folks, have a good day. Bye.